Hey, this is Scott Hansen from the Riffle.blogspot.com. I'm here to do my second tutorial for my Joy of Fly Tying video series. This is the second fly that I teach in my beginning fly tying classes. It's a woolly bugger. As you can see, the one in the vise is a beautiful purpley, flashy woolly bugger. This would be great for salmon, things like that. But you can tie woolly buggers in all sizes and colors, and we're going to get started on this one right now. The hook I'm using today is a Daiichi model 1710, which is a 2 extra long hook, size 6. We're going to tie an olive woolly bugger today. First step on our woolly bugger is we're going to put some lead wire on our hook. As you can see, I hold the lead wire on my side of the hook just by one end of the wire, and then I start wrapping it forward towards the eye of the hook as close as I can. I get about 6 to 10 wraps of lead on there. I'll pinch off the front part of the lead and the back part of the lead, and I just pinch those off with my fingernails so I don't dull my scissors. Gotta move it towards the front half of the fly. Now I'm going to start my thread. I'm going to use some black 6/0 uni thread today. I'm going to do a jam knot right in front of the lead there, make a little dam of thread to kind of hold it in position. Going to move my thread back to the back part of the hook and just cover up the back part and let it hang right behind the lead. Trim off my thread, and we're ready to tie on our tail. Tail on a woolly bugger is marabou. Excuse me. We're going to use a full marabou quill here, or feather, and to utilize the fibers on this, I'm just going to hold it by the tip and rip off some of the fibers on one side of the quill and fold them over and rip off the rest, and I just end up with a nice little bunch of fibers of the marabou. I'm going to kind of pull off some of the long ones there. You don't want to trim marabou with your scissors because that you lose the nice flowing tips there, so I'll just rip off the long ones that are kind of in the way. I'm just going to pinch this clump of marabou on top of the hook shank, cover it up with my thread, hold on to the fibers as I move my thread back to the back so that it doesn't spin around the hook. Trim off some of the long loosey-gooseys there at the front. As you can see, when I tie it in right behind the lead, it kind of makes the underbody the same diameter from front to back, so we shouldn't have any lumpy sections on our body or anything. The way I tie woolly buggers, I'm going to tie in some small copper wire. Actually, it's black wire, but it's copper wire that's been dyed black. You can change up the color of the wire to suit your fly. Just gonna hold that on top of the hook shank, cover that end of the wire up with my thread, several wraps of thread, so that that's nice and tight in there. Now we're gonna tie in some chenille for the body. As you can see, chenille is kind of bulky. If we tie it in the way it is, it's gonna make a big lump at the back of the body. So I'm just gonna hold one end of it and pull off the fibers, revealing just the thread that runs through the middle of it. I'm going to tie that in, much less bulkier than the full diameter of the chenille. So I'm going to just tie that in the back and move my thread up to the eye of the hook. I want to leave my thread hanging about at least an eye length behind the eye, so we have enough room to make a head. I'm going to start wrapping my chenille forward. Just one wrap right in front of the tail. Keep wrapping. Each wrap is right in front of the previous wrap. Working my way up to the thread. Once I get up to where the thread is, I'll just hold it straight up on my side of the hook to kind of angle it forward a little bit. Throw my thread over it 3 or 4 times so it's nice and tight. And I'll go in and trim that off. There we go. Now the last thing we're going to tie in, looks like I trimmed my thread when I trimmed the chenille. That's no good. Thankfully it didn't pull through the bobbin, so I can just start it up right away, right here in the front. Do another jam knot, get that on there nice and tight. And we're going to tie in our feather. I've got a really long olive dyed grizzly saddle hackle here. As you can see, feathers have lots of fluffy stuff on the bottom. We want to get rid of that. We don't need that at all, so I'm just going to trim that out. Now every time I tie in a feather to be used as hackle, I like to prepare it the same way. I just kind of strip the barbs down at the butt end of the feather out at a 90-degree angle, and then I trim them away, leaving little nubbins along the hackle stem. That gives my thread something to hold on to so that the feather doesn't come sliding out after the fly is tied. So I'm going to hold that on my side of the hook with the butt end with the nubbins pointing away from me, right in front of the body there. And I'm going to tie that in with a few wraps, trim off the excess stem, and I'm going to wrap this hackle. First wrap is right behind the thread, but in front of the chenille body. I'm going to angle my next wrap backwards, leaving some space in between each wrap. Nice spiral wraps there. I'm going to work my way back towards the tail. And once I get back to the tail, I'm going to hold that straight. Let's see, there we go. I'm going to hold that straight up, kind of angled backwards. I'm going to reach around on the far side where my wire is hanging, and I'm going to pull that around and underneath the hook and then over that hackle stem that I'm holding onto. Just do two nice tight wraps right at the back of the body. Now I'm going to angle my wire forward and just wiggle it throughout the hackle fibers as I work my way towards the eye of the hook. I don't want to mat down my hackle fibers, so if I wiggle it through there like that, they should stay upright and beautiful. Once I get up to the front, I'm going to hold that up, angle it forward a little bit, throw my thread over it 3 or 4 times to tie that in, excuse me. Now I don't really like to trim wire. I think it dulls my scissors, so I'm just going to wiggle it off here. If you put enough pressure on it and wiggle it back and forth, it should pop off. Here we go. Of course, now that I'm on video, it's taken me a while here. Come on, there we go. So that pops off right there. Gonna stroke the hackle fibers back a little bit there to get them out of the way. Make a nice small little thread head there. That looks pretty good. I'll get my whip finish out here and finish this fly off with 3 or 4 wraps of thread. There we go. Unhook that. Can trim my thread off now. I'll trim that one hackle fiber that I got in there. Now I go in the back here. Trim my hackle out back in the back. And my woolly bugger is finished. It's one of the best flies you can tie. Tie it in lots of different colors. Hope you enjoyed it.